This is Dormouse03 with another installment of What's Pushing My Buttons. Today I want to talk about achievements. And now, I have a love-hate relationship with achievements. I enjoy getting them. I don't think that anyone would be telling the truth if they could say that they didn't like the feeling when they get an achievement or trophy, whichever system you're on. And so I do enjoy getting them, and I'm one of those people that if I look at my games list and I see, a game and it's got that one or two little achievements that you haven't gotten yet, it sort of bothers me because I have a little bit of an obsessive streak, as do I think many gamers. And this is what makes achievements so popular, right? Some people really care a lot about gamer score and how much gamer score you have, and I don't care as much about that. I just like to know that I've sort of done everything within a game that I can do, and achievements is one way to track that. And so I like to look at the 100% or as close as I can get to 100% completion of a game, and achievements is one way of looking for that. So that's sort of my preface to this little talk, just to let you know that I'm going to rag on achievements and on developers for making certain kinds of achievements, but that's in no way saying that I think that there shouldn't be achievements or trophies or that they should go away. There are just certain things that I would like to stop seeing. The biggest problem that I have with achievements and with sometimes games in general, especially when you're looking at difficulty settings, is this balance between something being a sufficient challenge and with something just being needlessly frustrating. And so I'm going to go into that a little bit based on a few categories of achievements that I've sort of picked out as the ones that are the most annoying to me. And so the first is a pretty straight up example of challenge versus frustration, and those are the achievements that are long but not challenging. So things that take a long time to accomplish but aren't really difficult to do. And so the ones that I'm thinking of here are something like the achievements in Gears of War, the Seriously and Seriously 2.0 and Seriously 3.0 achievements within those games. Those aren't difficult. There's nothing difficult about sitting there and grinding out a bunch of kills on Gears of War 2. In those sections where you're on a vehicle, on a turret, and can just mow down some people, and then you repeat that about 5,000 times in order to get that achievement. There's nothing challenging about that. It takes a long time, and you will get the achievement, but it doesn't really feel like you've achieved much at the end of it. It feels like you've sat there and you've just grinded out a bunch of kills. And to me, I feel like those kinds of things should go, because a game should never feel like work. I play my games to have fun, and there is no fun in sitting there and grinding something for hours and hours and hours and hours on end. There's nothing fun about that. And by the time you get to the end of those achievements, you just don't ever want to see the game again, and that's never something that I feel like a developer should go for. Another type of achievement that goes within this same category of something that's long but not challenging are the collectible achievements. So, collectibles, I think, can be good. So, here's when I feel like collectibles can be good. When they give you something that adds to the game. So I'm thinking about something like in the Grand Theft Auto series, and I don't remember if it was in the most recent one. I don't think it was in GTA 4, but in GTA 3 and San Andreas and the other one that was in Vegas, not Vegas, but Miami, I can't remember what it was called. But in all of those, they had the little hidden packages. You found them, and every tin you found, it unlocked a weapon at your hideout. And so that made it worth it to like go around the city, explore the city, see all there was that the designers put into that game. You get to see all of that stuff, and you get a tangible reward within the game. You know, it gives you weapon unlocks that you can go and refill your ammo and pick those things up. And, you know, for every 10, they get better, right? So that gives you a reward for doing it within the game. And by the way, you know, the systems that I played those on, they didn't have achievements, right? You collected the stuff because you wanted the in-game reward for doing it. And I feel like even if there's an achievement tied to something like that, there should always be an in-game purpose to it. One game that I can think of that has examples of both the right way to do collectibles, in my opinion, and the wrong way is Alan Wake, which is a fantastic game. I'd recommend it to anyone who's a survival horror fan. But they have a bunch of different collectibles within that game, and all but one of them is, I feel like, sort of the right way to do collectibles. They have locations that you can find that give you some more information about the town that you're in and the history of it, and so that it gives it a flavor, it gives it a setting, and it adds to the game. It's not just something that's pointless. It's something that's giving you an ambiance. It's setting the stage, and I think that that's good. Another collectible that they have in that game is the manuscript pages, and that's a lot of them are sort of tangential, but they are relevant to the story, and so it's adding to the story. Finding them all helps add to the experience that you're having of playing this game. And so those two collectibles have a purpose. Now they also have coffee thermoses, and these do nothing. The reason why the coffee thermos collectibles are not a good way to do collectibles is that they do nothing. They don't give you anything. They don't unlock anything. They don't add to the story. You don't get any information about the setting. You don't get any, you know, boosts to your character, you know, like you unlock an unlimited ammo mode or an unlimited health mode or something like that. You get nothing for them, and there's just 100 of them around that you have to find, and it's pointless. Basically, it doesn't add a thing to that game besides the frustration of going and, well, I found 97 of these on my first playthrough, and now where are the other 3, and having to look up a guide and trying to figure out which were the 3 that you missed. That's not challenge, okay? It's not challenge at all. It's just this meaningless task that you have to do in order to complete the game, which is kind of ridiculous in my opinion. It's just pointless, and it's a long but not challenging achievement. Another long but not challenging achievement that I would like to stop seeing, but I doubt will ever go away, is the get to rank 50 in multiplayer. And this is not a challenging achievement. Now, some people would maybe argue that, you know, oh, you'll get to it faster if you're good, or whatever. And that sometimes is true. It depends on the game. But mostly, that's rewarding you for just playing it a lot. And basically, you don't really have to be good at the multiplayer, because trust me, I have seen many people who are a super high rank in these multiplayer games, and they are not that good. They just play it a bunch. And yeah, to some degree, when you play something a lot, you're going to be a little better, I would hope. But that doesn't mean that you are going to be fantastic at this game, or even that you're having a good time doing it. And, you know, sitting there and rewarding a person for just dumping hours and hours and hours into a game It's just dumb. It's kind of like the, I remember back in Saints Row, the first game, and there may have been one like this in the others as well, I can't remember, but they had an achievement for playing it for 20 hours or something like that, and it's like, is that really an achievement? For playing something for a certain amount of time? I mean, I don't understand the logic of those kinds of things, because it's not challenging at all. It's just how much you play it, and I don't approve of those types of achievements. Okay, so on to the next type that gets on my nerves, pushes my buttons, are the achievements that are super specific. Okay, so what I'm thinking of here is something that says, use this obscure weapon on this obscure map, that you can't choose, you know, which map you're playing on most of the time when you have an achievement like that. So use this weapon on this map and kill this many enemies in this specific way. And it's like, who would ever... like, what kind of sadistic person did that? I mean, it's one thing when the weapon is something that you really can acquire pretty easily, and the map is somewhere that you can go to and say, okay, I want to play this chapter over, and it's like, get this many kills with this weapon on this chapter. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm thinking of something like the achievements in Halo 3, so get 5 kills from the grave with stickies, or, you know, something, on this specific map, and you can't really pick which map you play on in the multiplayer there. They give you one, and then you can vote with the other people whether or not you want to skip that and get a different map, and it's just really random. And so a lot of the time when you're going for an achievement like that, you spend it just being frustrated because you're not getting the game you want. And then when you do get that game, some douchebag takes the weapon that you needed, you know, and if it's a douchebag on the other team, then sometimes, yeah, you can kill him and take it from him, but sometimes it's the douchebag on your own team, and then you have to follow him around and wait for him to die, and it's just frustrating. And it's more about just waiting it out. Again, it's one of these things that it's probably not the task that's really that challenging to do, but it's just something that just tests your patience, because you're sitting there, you're trying to do it, you're not having a good time while you're, you know, on another map that you didn't need, and you're sitting there going, oh, damn it, now I have to get this game over with so that we can vote again to get the other map that I wanted, or the other game type that I wanted. And then I'll see if I can do it then. You know, it's just, having something that specific is silly. Getting a certain number of kills in a match, or, you know, getting in 3 assassinations within a round, or doing something where they don't have as many particulars in it is fine. You know, if they want to give you something that's challenging to do, that's fine. But when you make it really, really specific, so that the majority of the time you're not even trying to do the thing that you have to do to get the thing. Most of the time that you spend trying to get that is waiting to get the right map, or the right weapon, or the right whatever it is that you're trying to get to be able to get that thing. And I just think that that's silly. The next type of achievement that I think really stinks is the achievement that requires too many other people. And so the example I'm going to give you right now is just the ultimate fail by the people who designed this achievement. And it is in Red Dead Redemption. And again, this is a fantastic game. I would recommend it to anyone. It's awesome. However, there is one achievement that is just horseshit. And it's where you have to beat everybody in a full game of Liar's Dice, which is one of the mini games. It's one of the mini game gambling games. And you have to do that in a full game of people in multiplayer. So you have to get a full 6 people, and then you have to beat them all without losing a single die. And so in and of itself, that's difficult to do, because just the random chance that somebody will call a spot on call on someone else. And I apologize if you don't know Red Dead Redemption or Liar's Dice. This probably doesn't make much sense, but suffice it to say that, you know, it's a gambling game. You lose dice or die by other people calling bets and calling bluffs and things like that. And the amount of luck that it takes to not lose one die within a game when there's 5 other people playing is just crazy. Like, you can be pretty skilled at it. I am pretty skilled at it. I generally win when I play Liar's Dice, but doing it without losing a single die is kind of a crazy requirement. And so that in and of itself is a really huge challenge. But then on top of that, they have this thing built in there that you have to do it in a full game of 6 people, right? So you can't do it with 5 people. So you have to sit there and you have to wait for 6, and a lot of people are impatient, and then they don't want to wait for the game to fill up. So it takes a while to wait for other people. And then I discovered, when I was going for this achievement, that they all needed to stay in the game the whole time too. So, like, after they lost, they couldn't leave the table, because then that would void your achievement. And I know this because I did it. There were a full 6 people when we started. I played. I didn't lose a single die, and I won the game, and I still didn't get the achievement. And I looked on the internet for a reason as to why, and found out that no one can leave the game even after they lose. And I said, this is stupid. You know, when you do something that is that difficult to begin with, and then you still can't get it just because someone left. Because, I mean, honestly, I don't blame them. I mean, who wants to sit there and continue to, you know, play at this game that's going to take another half hour after you've lost? You don't. You want to go find another game. And so having a requirement in that makes it so that you can't get something because someone else left is just ridiculous. And so that's my pinnacle example of requiring too many other people. But, you know, I hate the achievements that are like, in a full party of 4, or in a full party of blah, 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 do this thing. And that thing can probably easily be done by yourself, or with 2 other people, or with 3 other people. But you have to do it in a full game. And a lot of times, games that make those kinds of achievements are games that don't have a really established multiplayer. And so, I don't ever think that games like that should make requirements like that, because they don't know that, you know, 6 months down the road, somebody picks up that game and wants to play that they're going to be able to find anyone to play with. So basically, if you aren't Halo, if you aren't Call of Duty, basically those are the only 2 that I can think of on the Xbox. There may be Killzone or something like that on the PS3. I'm not sure if there's another big multiplayer game on there. But if you aren't those types of games, you shouldn't be making just super specific, or, you know, require a bunch of other people to get this achievement. Because even Gears of War, like Gears of War 3, it's been out for like a year now, and it's hard to find a full game of people, a full multiplayer match on there. And that's a pretty established series. And so if you are a less established multiplayer series than that, you should not be having achievements like that require a bunch of other people to be on there with you. Because you're just setting it up so that, well, maybe people can do it the first few weeks that the game's out, when people are trying things out, but then later, if they have paid for your game, a couple months later, then they can't find anyone, you can't get that achievement. And it just causes the frustration of every time I pop in that game, knowing that I'm never going to be able to do that, because there just aren't enough people, or having to go online and find people to, play that with you or boost that with you. It defeats the purpose of having something that rewards doing something fun. So, requiring too many other people, don't like it. The next type of achievement that gets on my nerves, pushes my buttons, is the achievement that's about luck and not about skill. And so the two that I'm going to list right now are, I guess, maybe debatable whether or not they fall into this category, but I'm going to explain why I feel like they're about luck and not about skill. So the first one I'm going to talk about is Dead Space 2, the Hard to the Core achievement. And so if you haven't done this, you've probably heard about it. It's the achievement where you have to play through the entire game and you only get 3 saves and no checkpoints. And so if you haven't saved and you're on chapter 10 and you die, you go back to the beginning. If you saved in chapter 6 and you die in chapter 10, you go back to chapter 6. So there's no checkpoints, and you only get 3 saves throughout the entire game. And now this isn't a super long game, it's no Skyrim or something like that takes forever. It's your standard 10 to, I'd say, 12 hours, depending on how you play through it, what your pace is. So it's not really super long, but only 3 saves within that entire time is sort of nuts. And I think they set this up to be, obviously, they named it Hard to the Core, and so they set this up as this achievement that's supposed to test how good you are at the game, and I'm hardcore, and I did something that was really hard, and all of that. And I'm gonna go ahead and tell you, I did this achievement. It's not that hard. Okay, the enemies are set to the second highest difficulty, and you don't pick up a lot of ammo, but it is not that hard to do this achievement. It's frustrating, but it's not that hard. If you are semi-competent at playing third-person shooters, you will be able to get that achievement. But it's probably going to frustrate you a little bit. And the reason that I say that it's about luck and not skill is that a lot of times, it's just a test of your patience. So if something happens to you, like, an enemy just came at you out of somewhere that you weren't expecting and you get killed. Under normal circumstances, you learn from that, you reload at the last checkpoint, and then you act accordingly from then on. You fix that mistake. This is how you learn and get better, and you learn the game, and you overcome the challenges within a game, and that's part of why playing games is rewarding. It's because you're sort of learning how to overcome the obstacles that the game sets for you. But in a mode like that, something comes out of nowhere and randomly kills you, and you don't learn from that and say, oh, that it was over here, it spawned over there. Okay, so they can spawn and drop down out of this wall. And you adjust to that and you do it again immediately. No, you can go back hours of gameplay to even get back to the point where that happened to you. and then you try to fix that mistake. And so, and maybe it's not even a mistake, maybe it's just, you know, you had to sneeze, or, you know, your girlfriend came in and said, hey, let's go get dinner, and, you know, you turned from the screen for a second, something killed you. There are any number of random things that could happen. Maybe your power went out. Maybe your game system froze. Maybe you had to scratch your nose. But whatever it was that happened, you know, whether it was a mistake that you made or just something random that happened to you, it's not like you can just, you know, load up your last save point or go back to the last checkpoint. No, you get punished so harshly that you have to go back and replay hours of the campaign in order to get back to where you were. And this is not really a test of skill, in my opinion. Because, like I said, you don't have to be that good at this game to get that achievement. It took me the course of a weekend, and I wasn't playing the entire time. You know, I played maybe 6-8 hours a day for those 2 days. And I didn't die that many times. And it's not like it was something that was hard to do, or that you feel like, oh yeah, man, I did this and it was awesome. You know, I got better at it, and I did it. I did it. It makes you feel like, and God, I never want to do that again, because it was nerve-wracking and frustrating, and it was just this complete test of patience. And the people who have that achievement versus the people who don't are the ones who are patient enough to say, you know what, I'm going to do this. It might take a few tries. I know I'm probably not going to get it the first time through, but I know that I'm capable of doing this. And the kind of people who don't let their deaths frustrate them that much, that they can have the confidence to know that, yeah, I will be able to do this. You know, it's not that hard, and I just have to know that bullshit is going to happen, and I'm just going to have to live through that and persevere. And in a way, I guess that is sort of an achievement, to be able to have that personality type. Because I think it works out well for you in many areas. At least it has for me. But it's not something that I consider to be necessarily something that should be an achievement within a game. Because a lot of the time it's about the luck of something random not happening to you, rather than your skill of being able to effectively handle the situation. The second game that I'm going to mention, and I'm going to talk about this briefly because it's basically the same thing as the Dead Space 2 achievement, but it's the Max Payne 3 New York Minute Hardcore mode, which they decided to be super sadistic and take the Dead Space 2 achievement to the max. Haha, pun. And say that, well, so instead of giving you 3 saves, we're just not going to give you any saves. No saves, no checkpoints. You have to go through the entire game without dying, without messing up, without failing an objective. And so that wasn't enough, though. On top of that, you have a time limit. So you start off with a minute, and for every person that you kill, depending on the way that you kill them, you can get anywhere from 5 to 10 seconds. And so you have to be pushing yourself through at least the first few levels in order to build up time, so that you can get through spots toward the end, because you don't have time, and it would suck to get to the very end of it and then realize that, oh, now I don't have enough time to get through this part. So on top of not being able to die, not being able to fail an objective through the entire game, it adds on this time component, which just lends itself to someone making a mistake, right? Whenever you're trying to rush through something, that increases the chances of you making a stupid mistake. And so you're going to pile that on top of something where you can't make any mistakes. And the reason why I feel like that is more about luck than skill is that, yeah, I can get to the point where I know those levels and I know where the enemies are coming out, and I've learned how to use the mechanics well enough to be able to go through it and not die. And then I get a glitch where I get stuck in the floor. Or then I get a glitch where, and this really has happened to me on that game, where I'm going through and none of the enemies spawn. It's just empty. It's an empty level. And there's no one to kill, and the clock runs out. And I'm thinking, this is just, why? Why would they do that? Why would they design something and then give you this mode that's supposed to be, a fun challenge for the people who are skilled at the game, and not play tested enough that they could fix those glitches? So those are a few types of achievements that push my buttons, get on my nerves, and things that I wish that developers would learn how to make something challenging without making it frustrating. And so to a certain degree, something being frustrating is a good thing, because it makes it feel like you did something that was achievement worthy, something that was an actual accomplishment. And so to a certain degree, frustration has to be in there, because if it wasn't, then it would just be too easy and you would be walking through everything and there would be no challenge to it at all. And I don't think that that's the right way to go. I like for things to be a challenge. I like to feel like, yeah, I did this thing on the, hardcore insanity, crazy pants, you will not survive difficulty, and I did it. And it was awesome when I finished it, and, yay, I felt really good. And it's rewarding getting better, and it's rewarding trying new things and trying out the different things that are available to you, or approaching something from a different angle. It's rewarding that quality of games that I think appeals to a lot of people in the first place, that sense of discovery and control, that you're in control of this universe and you're the sort of learning how to master its obstacles in an effective way. Being more about that and less about something that's just more frustrating than it is anything else. It's either not really a challenge at all and it just takes a really long time, or something that's less about being challenging and more about getting lucky, or having a clean run through. And it would be nice to see a game put things in there that are really more about challenging the player to do new things and try new things and approach things from different angles, or encourage people to get better at the game and try things on harder difficulties, things like that. Then just continue to put in things that are frankly pretty lazy, like kill X many of these things, or collect all of these things that don't really do anything for you. Those kinds of things. It's just silliness. And it kind of breaks the game for you in some ways. Because after you do something that takes a long time like that, unless you've done it in just over a long period of time, you're going to want to put that down. And you're probably not going to want to play it for a long time, if ever. And I don't know, I feel like there has to be a way to make things that are equally balanced between being challenging enough for the people who are more skilled players, and not being so frustrating that it just discourages you from continuing. And when you're sitting there raging at something, that's when you know that it's lost it. It's lost that battle between being challenging in a good way and being challenging in a frustrating way. When you're sitting there trying to do something for hours and hours, and you're just angry. You're angry at the game, you're angry at yourself, you're angry at your mom, you're angry about everything because they've put something in there that is frustrating challenging and not rewarding challenging. And I don't know any better way to explain it than that, but I would love to hear what other people think on that subject. So with that, I will leave you to hopefully comment and give me some good discussion. So thanks for listening, and that's what's pushing my buttons this week.